Hey, if you're in the corporate world and you want to kind of transition into the business world and own a company, I'm going to share today a few concepts that you can deploy to be able to position yourself properly in the market and eventually transition out of a corporate world. So today we'll talk about the topic of acquiring firms or acquiring companies. This is what I've done the last almost 7 years. And I'm going to share some concepts around the whole process, and I'm going to share some things that could also be applicable to business owners that even have companies that could do acquisitions and they could go and acquire companies. I think the topic's super important. I think the topic is a big opportunity in general. This is what I've been doing the last 7 years, and I think that you should pay attention because we've actually got corporate professionals like this that were managers in different companies, and they transitioned out of that and they bought 15 companies in home services. Companies like fencing, companies like air conditioning, plumbing, electrical. And they essentially build a portfolio company doing the same playbook, and they're close at 40 million revenue now, and they build it from scratch, from zero, and they've been in the corporate world before that. So they learned a new skill set to be able to do the whole process. Now, on the other end, we've also helped business owners that have very specific expertise also get into this world of acquiring and rolling up companies. And we've had a guy that rolled up 16 e-commerce brands, and they've scaled to 200 million revenue because they used some of their business acumen, some of their expertise already, and they've done the same playbook. So I think it's a unique skill set you can learn as a corporate professional, and it's a skill set that could allow you to get into the business world and have way less risk versus if you were to start a company, or versus if you were to build an AI company, or versus if you were to build some other project. I think building projects takes a long time, and if you're willing to do that, that's fine. But if you want to build strategic wealth over time, over the next 3, 5, 7, 10 years, there's a few more ways on how you can do it. So today I'm gonna look at some of the notes on my notepad here, and I'm gonna go through some of the key concepts. So one of the biggest mistakes people will make when they go and decide if they want to acquire a company is they're gonna pick deals that are very small, meaning deals sub $500,000 in annual cash flow. So a lot of these deals tend to have less of the essence of a company, meaning they have no team in place, maybe don't have a proper management team in place, they're not as systemized yet, and they're not as resistant to the market, to recessions and to different things that could happen in the market. So in essence, yes, you're doing all this effort to go out there and buy a company, and it might take you 6 or 12 months until you find it, until you actually get the deal closed and you finance the transaction. You gotta get the whole process done, but then you end up with a company that you need to fix a lot of the things inside the company, and there's a lot more risks associated with it. And they've also personally guaranteed the thing. Personally guaranteeing the thing means you actually got a loan on the deal, and you've acquired the business using a loan, not using all your money you have. A lot of these companies that are sub $500,000 in cash flow, their value might be in between 2 times that cash flow, or 3 times that cash flow, or in some cases even more. So you're paying quite a good amount of money, but you might not end up in that ideal scenario you want to be able to position yourself strategically to build up a lot more wealth. So I have a concept that I try to suggest to a lot of people that get to work with us, which is try to do premium deals versus smaller deals. And that concept is essentially there because we want to de-risk you. We want to mitigate all your risks. We want to put you in a position where when you get into a company, you get into a deal that takes you 12 months to complete or 6 months to complete, you're actually buying a company that is a lot more sustainable. It's been sitting on its own feet for a long time, and it has a team in place, and it has systems in place. A lot of these companies tend to cost a lot more capital, and a lot of these companies tend to be more maybe complex, but they also dominate the market. So essentially what you're looking is for businesses that are dominant in that local market, and businesses that are in the top percentile of percentages of like the best businesses in that market. You're not looking for bad companies. You're not looking for distressed companies that are not making money. You're looking for essentially businesses that potentially net a little bit above $1 million in profit annually. These businesses might cost them between $3 million to up to even $7 million, depending on the industry, depending on the weaknesses and strengths they have. And again, you might be looking on the higher end, and a lot of the mistakes come from choosing a market or choosing a deal which is sub that cash flow, which allows you to have management in place, systems in place, and things like that. So I think people that are considering getting into the space, they should pay attention to this concept. Also, you need to get into a deal where it complements whatever you already know. So if you're an IT professional, you need to kind of understand what spaces you can add value to, what industries you can add value to. You can't just get into a space, if you want to do it on your own, you can't get into a space and not know anything about it and expect to do $1 million EBITDA deal. It's just not going to happen. Most of these companies that sell are looking for very particular buyers that can add value. You could also build a deal team around you to be able to come in and add value, but that also takes a skill set, and that implies that you understand how to build a deal team, which is another skill set in itself. So if you're looking to do that, just reach out to me and we'll talk about it. But in general, you want to make sure that the deal you're doing is going to complement everything in your business, or is going to complement your current skill sets you have. So again, take a look at your background, take a look at what you've done in the past, take a look at what businesses you've worked in the past, take a look at for how long you worked in them, take a look at what playbooks or what specific things you've done in that business to improve it, and then try to understand if those things are going to be transferable to the deals you see on the website, or the deals you see from brokers, or the deals you're seeing out there in the market. There's a few ways on how you can go and start looking at deals. There's brokers, and then there's also deals that you can find on your own by reaching out to the set business. A specific amount of percentage of businesses are always going to sell, and what you can do is you can reach out to tons of businesses in your local area and find that one golden nugget that is potentially going to want to work with you, and you can do a deal that way. Or you can just register and get to know a lot of the brokers in your market that are going to list businesses in that parameter that you have. So that's another way of looking at this and finding deals. Now, what's also interesting is most people are not going to build wealth doing just one deal. And we're going to build a little bit more wealth by doing a few more of these deals altogether, and we're going to try to create synergies in between them. So most people, they would buy their first platform, and then they would go and buy a second add-on, a third add-on, a fourth add-on. They would try to improve that portfolio, and then that's how they would scale their EBITDA a lot quicker versus them essentially just buying one company and optimizing that one company. And a lot of the times when you buy one company, every company kind of has its own ceiling, and the way you would improve revenue, improve profitability, you'd grow that portfolio, you would try to buy complementary companies to that company to go from like 5 million revenue, 10 million, 20 million, 30 million, 40 million revenue. And then you'd get to a point where you'd become a little bit more attractive to some of these other strategic buyers, bigger companies, funds, family offices, lower middle market funds, middle market funds, or like mega funds if you're scaling to billions in revenue. A lot of the companies out there that also buy companies, they tend to follow the same model, which is buying complementary smaller companies to be able to scale revenue. There's guys that have done that in air conditioning. There's guys that have done that in roofing. There's guys that have done that in pest control all across the nation. And you can see how they're buying a lot of these companies in healthcare and different industries. So if you're planning to do some of these things, and maybe you're a business owner rolling up or buying companies, you want to have essentially like an M&A corporate development team that is going to come in and help you do this properly, and you don't have as much time doing it, just reach out to me on LinkedIn. Or if you're a corporate professional and you want to implement that for you to be able to buy your first company, reach out on LinkedIn and we can talk about it. But hopefully this video was valuable to you, and you kind of understood some of these concepts. And if you have more questions, just let me know. Thank you.